for the DM question of the week. And that question is, how do you deal with the players that don't take the game seriously?
Well, not quite.
What?
That actually wouldn't be that big deal. Today we're talking about non-cooperative players.
Oh.
Non-cooperative players that aren't putting in an effort to fix their mistakes. So we have talked in the past
So
about...
stubborn, so dwarvish players.
Well, okay, that's a little bit of a slight to a dwarf. They're stubborn, but anyway, no, this is a player that's like being a jerk or like basically making the game not fun for other people, and you've already tried to fix it, and they're not really willing to.
Kick them out. Drop kick them suckers out.
Yeah,
take them out. If they say, no, I'm not going to play the rules, you stand up as a DM, you walk over, you freaking just take your meaty DM hand, grab their neck, lift them up with your barbarian might, and throw them out of the room.
Yes, there you go.
Yes.
That's one option.
Or you destroy their
That
character.
can be harder to do, though, if we're talking seriously. Just because, confrontation, that's a lot of confrontation. And then also...
That's what I would do.
The problem players typically won't be like... You won't say, hey, this is a problem, and they're like, I don't care, I refuse. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah, I mean...
They're probably not going to say that. They're probably going to be defensive, or they're just going to be, like, annoying about it, where they, like, maybe be like, okay, and then they don't do it, and you have to tell them again and again and again.
Or, like, the rule book guy who just says, like, actually, you can't do that. It's like...
Okay, well, you're bringing up specific types of problem players,
Well,
all
I mean,
of which can be addressed in different ways.
Yeah.
But we're talking right now about problem players of all types that just aren't listening to you, basically. They're not getting better.
It's a very hard thing. Hopefully the person is a reasonable person. So if you tell them, hey, if you don't do this, you're not being fun, and you're making the campaign not fun.
Right?
So, just be honest with them and saying, hey, if you continue to do this stuff, there will be consequences. You have to do what I say. I'm the DM. But that doesn't mean DMs, you abuse your power. That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
So basically, you just have to be reasonable with them. Just be honest. Be like, hey, like you have to do this stuff. I know it goes against you, but for me, I think it makes the game better for everyone. Also include the group. Maybe your fellow players will help you out with dealing with this person.
Yeah, and yes, and I think we've had the privilege of never really dealing with these people. So, this is just based off of stories. The only reason we're answering this question. But so that is exactly what you want to do to start. You want to just talk to them.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about right now what happens when it doesn't work. So this is kind of the general steps of how something like this may play out. This is what we're talking about. So, player does bad thing. That's the first step. All right. So typically, from there, as another player or as the DM, you may try to subtly, in character, in game, try to say, let's not do that. So maybe the player talks over you, and then you're like, excuse me, I was still speaking, sir. Something like that. But if they don't get the hint, that's the next thing that happens. They don't stop. So this is when, and if this is when this happens a lot of times, you need to immediately now stop the game. Okay? If you have tried to tell this person not to do something, and they are not getting the hint and they're still doing it, you gotta stop the game. You gotta say, all right, pause.
Joffrey.
Or, yeah, Joffrey. Anyway, Joffrey. That wasn't cool. Like, we talked about this. Can you not do that, right?
Come on, Joffrey. Do better.
Alright, so you did that. You're playing again. Uh-oh. They do it again. And they're probably... If they do it again, I mean, come on. It's kind of like, really? Like, they're probably not trying very hard. And so this is where it gets tough. And really, I think this episode or this video here is really to say this might happen and it's okay. It's not a problem with the game. It's not a problem with you. I mean, it could be a problem with you. I don't exactly know.
Just
But
don't
probably
be a
not.
bad DM, you know?
It's not all about DMs though. I'm talking to players too.
Yeah.
I'm talking to players as well. It's anyone in this party that has a player in the group that isn't really doing their job, or that isn't doing a good job at being a team player. And so, if at this point they have not fixed their issue, and you've talked to them, you've tried everything, and they're still doing it, first thing you want to do is just end the session. So if you're the DM, you respectfully say, all right, listen, I tried to talk to you, Joffrey, about this, and you're not doing it, so we're going to stop playing. And this is about something that's not good enough. And that's an uncomfortable thing to do, but it needs to be done. You can't continue playing with this person. And maybe if they're like one of your friends and this is tough, maybe that will teach them to not do it next time. If you like put your foot down and you're like, we're not playing if you do this. Like, I will not play. You know, if you're not the DM and you're the player, then you should get up and say, I don't think we should play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad, but depending on who you're playing with, they may not agree with you. But that's okay, and that means you just should.
Well, like you can walk out of it too.
You should be like, okay, well, I'm leaving. And if that doesn't tell them that they should get their act together, then you don't want to be playing with them anyway, right? They're not respecting you.
Exactly.
So you walk out. But hopefully you have a DM that is on your side, that's on everyone's side, and so when you're like, I really am not having fun because of this, your DM should support you, hopefully. But if they don't, that you know, you may just have to leave feeling bad.
And maybe the non-cooperative player like really wants this one thing to happen, but the DM's like, no, like, it's not gonna happen. So they, you know, they're like if you have someone that sabotages the game,
right?
You know, just like you just gotta
like they're just being annoying.
Like they're being annoying, or they're just making the game just like a lot harder for everyone else. Prime example. If you have the person that says I kill my teammate because that's what my character would do.
Oh yeah, that's what my character would do is not a good. It never is.
Look, it's never good unless you do really good acting, role playing.
Well,
unless it makes sense for like the story. But if you just say that's what my character,
well, no, you should do what your character would do. But whenever you have to defend yourself by saying that's what my character would do, you're missing the point of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The point of the game is not to act in character. The point of the game is to have fun with the people around you. You know what I mean? In character, but in characters that are fun, not characters that make other people upset. You know what I mean? So to say that's what my character would do, there's nothing I can do about it. No, there is.
Yep.
Change that character.
Make a better character.
Yeah. So yeah.
Kind of short. And then if they still refuse, go barbarian on them. Do what I said. Okay. Freaking just stand up with your might, walk over to them, and show your dominance. Right.
Yeah. And if you're the DM, and the problem player is your friend, which could be the case.
So sad.
I personally believe you really do have a responsibility to everyone at the table, even if everyone's strangers and your friend's being a jerk. I mean, they wouldn't be strangers if this is like a constant campaign that you're playing. But even if you were like really good friends with a person that's doing what you're telling them not to, you still gotta stand up for the other people. If you are a DM and you're defending the player's actions because you're their friend, that's just not cool, and it makes everyone else uncomfortable and probably not want to play with you. Trust me, it just will not make the game fun. It just won't.
Yeah, it won't. By the way, this stuff is kind of rare too.
Oh, it's super rare.
Yeah, it's super rare. I've never dealt with
I've never dealt with this.
I mean, I've dealt with annoying people that just says stupid stuff in like a serious situation. You know, typical bards.
Normally normally the point just gets to, hey, you're doing this and everyone's kind of not liking it, so can you try to do this, please? They're really like, oh yeah, whatever. But yeah.
Also, if it's like a cheater and they just keep cheating, do you know what happened to the last cheater?
Oh, cheaters. Maybe that'll be our next question. That's a different situation. But yeah.
He's gone. Reduced to atoms.
Okay, so yeah, if you have a player that, despite your attempt to tell them that they need to be different and that they just need to tweak what they're doing because it's making everyone upset, if they cannot respond to that in an appropriate manner, you either leave or you kick them out.
I mean,
or end the session
Yeah.
and see what happens next time. But if it happens multiple sessions in a row and they're basically a lost cause, it is okay to walk away from a campaign and go play with someone else, or to kick them out and be like, we like you as a person, but you literally are messing us up. Like, we cannot play with you. Sorry. And it's sad, and that
sad.
seems really mean, but that is the only
It's true,
thing you can do.
It's true.
And
it's really sad, like, if they don't actually mean it, but, like, they just keep doing it. It's like other examples, like that person that just takes forever.
Well, that is different.
That is different, but if they're being annoying about it...
No, but okay, so there are all these specific problems that we get into in other episodes, so go watch those if you have a specific problem. This episode is if no matter what that problem is, they are not fixing it, and they're not really trying to. It's not that they're like really old or something and they're just doing their best but they're failing. It's that they are someone that thinks what they want to do is more important than everyone else, and convincing them isn't working. That's what we're talking about.
They're selfish like dragons.
Yeah, if they're slow or something, that's completely different. That may be annoying, but you don't want to be mean to them.
Well, I mean, I dealt with someone that was being slow on purpose because they thought it was funny, and giggles like ooh, and I'm just like,
okay, that's completely different.
Yeah,
so that kind of malicious activity.
Yeah, if anybody's malicious.
An intent, yes.
Barbarian,
like they do.
Just freaking just.
Okay, yeah. I think we've said our piece here.
Yes, crush them.
But if you're new to D&D, it is extremely unlikely that you will encounter this.
Honestly,
if you do,
super rare.
just realize you're with a group that isn't good for you. Go to a different one and have tons of fun with them.
And most of the time, guys, D&D is a very fun game.
Mostly
everyone there is super
99.9% of the time, it's an amazing
time.
Amazing game.